Hey everybody, this is Andy from TNC Roamer. Today we're going to be working on the electronic cabinetry. Let's get started. Actually, what I want to do is mount this there, right? So what I'll probably do is come down through the top. That would work as well. Get flush. So from here, probably going to cut this notch out. Alright, so now I've created a notch. I should be able to just screw that right in there. Alright. Yeah, that'll work. Actually use my extension for this. Oh, that is so perfect. Oh. It's still hot out. We're at the end of, well, no, we're a little bit past mid-September. It's probably 90 something degrees today. Oh. All right, so if I know the inverter's pretty much taken most of that room, let me see. Yeah, or maybe I'll do it this way. But yeah, see, there you go. Perfect. So this is where the inverter will stay. Oh, that's nice. Something like that, right? It happens to fit. Something like that, right? Pull that out. Back in there. Like that. Just gonna make a line and cut it. You just want this little piece right here. All right, there we go. Just like that. All right, so we're back, and the next thing I want to do is mount or create a mount point for my inverter. So really all I want to do is run a beam from here to there, right? This way I can mount these flat tabs on there. So it has these tabs right here. So, like, basically just like that. So let's get started. It's just 12 inches from here to the back of there. One of my biggest pet peeves, honestly, it's these stickers. Oh my gosh. All right, so now we have something that goes from there to there, right? Let me see here. I might actually have screws that would go down in there. Well, one thing I could do is pre-drill these. And then set a depth. That would actually make it a little bit stronger. Let me go ahead and do that. Basically, I'm going to take a larger diameter drill and pre-drill 2 holes about halfway through. I'm going to set the bit right in the middle of the board, so I should do it. All right, so I'm back with my board, and I have 3 holes drilled in there. So I should be able to just align that up and screw those in. Get that out of the way. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, so I also want to align these 2 pieces to be on the same plane and perpendicular to the floor. Go ahead and kind of like set this all up. Move that over. So as long as I keep it like this, it should be. I'll go ahead and draw a little line there so I know if it moves to put it back. And lastly, I might actually switch to my swivel so I can get a better angle on it. Like that, right? All right, so now, let's see here. We should be able to mount this on there. Yeah, something like that. All right, so it looks like I'll be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4 on there. I'm gonna go ahead and figure out what hardware I want to use for that. I don't know that I need the swivel for the top part. Let's see here. But the extension would be helpful. Alright, so I got the 3 in on top. That's enough. I don't think I'm going to do the bottom ones. Yeah, it's in a groove already. That's not coming out. So I'm fine. It's in one of the grooves for the floor. So yeah, it's wedged in there. And yeah, we're good. So, alright, so I need a couple of these. Here's one. Perfect. Let's get a couple of these cut. Something like that. 3 inches. 2.5. Let's get 2 of these cut at 2.5. Okay, so we're going to mark our board at 2.5 and give it a good cut. You know what? I'm going to pre-drill these. I don't want any wood splitting. What we have to do is figure out our length. How aesthetically, like how long do we want it? So I'll cut both of these individually, glue them, clamp them. Let's cut these at 13. I think it's time for a new saw blade. Alright, so essentially all we want to do is bolt these 2 pieces together, right? Probably even rip this down as well. So this top part right here. Put this in the table saw and give this a rip. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's give this a dry fit and see how we did. Perfect. Nice and flush with the table. All right, so we have a couple options here. One, we can glue it in place, or we can glue it and clamp it on the floor over there like we always do. I'm gonna glue and clamp it on the floor. I'm not gonna cut corners. All right, here we go. All right, so while we wait for the glue to dry, there's not much else we can do because I am building this step by step, kind of like improving, custom fashioning each piece to see how I want to fit it together. But yeah, so far I really like what I see. As soon as we get the circuit panel all mounted, all the components mounted, then we could move on to actually wiring it up. There's a water pump that needs to get hooked up. Water hoses need to get hooked up. But we need to do all the electronics before we'll move on to that. But after that's done, I mean, aside from a platform for the bed, I can't think of anything else that would delay roaming. So I'm kind of getting a little excited here, but step by step, we'll get it done. I'll be right back. All right, everybody, I'm back. It's been a couple of hours, and this is probably dry now. What I'm going to do now is unclamp it and give it a little rough sanding. Little uneven spot right there. I'm going to go ahead and fire up the belt sander and just smooth it on out a bit. All right, here we go. All right, so I've clamped it, made it level. Looks good. Go ahead and run some screws in here. All right, so now we have the panel mounted. So, will that work? No, so it kind of has to be like. Okay, so that won't go all the way through, but it will go deep enough. So let's go ahead and mount the negative bus bar. You know, I'm just thinking before I get too involved in here, I might want to throw an L bracket on there so that it's not too wobbly. now we're ready to mount the negative. Square it up. Something like that. Let's just move that over. No harm. Oof. Perfect. Let's see if we can come the other way. Round that off a bit, which we did. Okay, that should get me started. Perfect. Okay. All right, so I've got my battery hookup right there. The wires will come from the battery up through here. All right, guys, so we're back and we're trying to finish setting up the MPPT solar controller. I mean, one thing I could do is kind of break it up into the different holes, so solar, battery, and load. So maybe what I'll do is switch to a smaller bit, which would afford me the ability to go really close to the bottom without blowing out that gap. So I need 3 holes, right? I need 1, 2, and 3. One, 2, another inch over. 3. All right. So the load is going to go over to the fuse box, which I've decided to make room. In order to make room for the fuse box, what I'm going to do is mount it on this side. This way it gives me enough room for a panel of switches. So we'll just quick get that in there and then we'll move. Oh, they gave me Phillips. Choose ones they gave me. Perfect length too. Okay, I'm going to gently clamp it. Just gently so I can free my hands up. All right, here we go. I believe that's in. I do believe that's in. Cha-cha-cha. That's done. Wow. This bit is chewing up. See if this one's any better. Much better. Ooh, scared for a minute there. That's why I like using Torx, because Phillips are so old school. Oh, skeeters are out again. All right. With that, it looks like we have the MPPT solar charge controller installed. If I put the fuse box right about where the well, technically where anything else is, right? Because what I want is this free space for the switches. All right, I'm back. I found 3 screws of almost the same size. Perfect. All right. Oh, you know what? Before I actually do that, let me make sure I can't go all the way through. And I can't. Okay, good. Here we go. Perfect. Perfect. All right, so I have the fuse box in the back mounted. I have the bus bars. I have the charge controller, and the only thing I don't have are buttons yet. So the buttons, I have all this area right in here to figure out how I want to do that. The good news is I think this drill bit is pretty close to the actual size of the button. So maybe what I'll do is kind of like draw a horizontal line there, right? And if I get the drill bit diameter just right, I should be able to put at least a midsection hole in there, and then come in with the jigsaw and finish it off. So let's see here. Is that switch up too high? No. I don't think that switch is up too high. Go ahead and just put one in. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the charge controller so I have full access to this area here. So at least I can turn the, I'll be able to turn the charge controller off and on. So it looks like I got a 1/2 inch here. And that's it. I can put another one in here. Perfect. Now we're just going to start chiseling this one away. Eventually what I can do is 3D print a faceplate where you can 3D print these openings and then just use 4 holes and mount it like that. It'll be a little bit more professional. But for now, that's pretty good. Yeah, there's a red one. I don't want to push it all the way in yet because I have to keep taking it in and out. It'd be nice to have a battery disconnect. Maybe I'll do a third one for the battery and just disconnect the battery. I have these bad boys. Put one right there. Let me see how long they are. Inch and an eighth at least. Inch and an eighth, is that right? Let me make sure. Yeah, might be a little. How wide now? Three-eighths of an inch wide. 3. Yeah, no, it's 3. Perfect. There we go. So now I can turn the battery off too. That'll work. Alright, so essentially we could wire everything but the batteries, right? So we can go from here to the switch, from the switch to the charge controller, from the charge controller to the fuse box. And so we still have these guys here to install at random spots throughout the van. Okay, so I'm probably going to take a break here, call it a day, come back tomorrow and finish this up. So I'll see you in the morning. Hey, so we're back again on day 2 of the electric panel build. And I guess the next thing we're going to do is start wiring everything. So let's just get started. Okay, and also we have the batteries as well. So we'll need to hook those up. So I'll need to vacuum that out. All right, so I need my screwdriver. So I know we also have a bolt back there to establish like a ground. All right, guys, so I'm back with my digital multimeter. So with this, I can determine which is, so you put it on connectivity rate, and so when the resistance goes to 0, it beeps like that. So now you can tell what side of the switch to use. Oh, here's the switch I'm looking for. So let's see here, which one is switched? So right now it's off, right? Looks like it's just the bottom two. Okay, so we'll just do the bottom two is the switch. I'm going to be switching the positive side. I'll have extra negative, I suppose. Let's see here, I think I want to detach these. They're going in two different directions. Alright, so we're going to use needle nose pliers to form and pinch the connectors. And then we'll use solder to connect the wire firmly to the. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Tape that up. Alright, so let's take a look here. Nice. So we're going to go in the way of the tightening of the bolt. So it would go clockwise, like that. Go ahead and get a wrench for that. Is that like 15 millimeter? Alright, that'll do. Bring that through there. So now this guy here is going to be switched. So this will go to this is the main battery cutoff. So Here's where you can pick up the battery. I do want to do a ground though to the chassis. But I also have to do the ground to the batteries as well. So would this work? Way over here. Nope. All right, let's see what we're going to need for the batteries because I want to run them individual. So I guess bare minimum it involves another hole in the floor, right? So coming over here. Seems kind of free right there. Oh, I wanted to check the voltage too. Perfect. Let me check the voltages real quick. So I'm going to change the voltmeter to DC volts. Black on black, red on red. 13.62, 13.5. So I think that's probably close enough where they'll even out, right? So I'm probably going to go ahead and wire those today. Definitely want to be able to pull these batteries halfway across here, right, to work on them and then push them back in. But having said that, there's the red and there's the black. All right, so then we're going to go to the bus bars. All of this stuff goes directly to the bus bar. So it goes through there and then over to here. So right about here should do. We'll go ahead and coat them in solder. You can do one and coat it in solder and see what we get. All right, so I've got some solder, got my map torch. Wow, that's got right in there. Dang, bro. Wow, that took in a lot of solder, like in a quick second. Wow, that sure beats sitting there 20 minutes trying to solder it. So let's take a look here. This goes to the battery, right? Keep in mind, in case these wrenches touch, that those batteries are not getting wired. That's the last thing I'll do is connect the batteries. I want to go clockwise on that. Okay, so those aren't going anywhere. All right, so how about down here though, right? Same thing. Make some loops, heat them up. Will the loops fit through there? Yeah. About the same. Turn and loop. Oh, that's a nice loop. Something like that. Okay, you ready? Let's see. Turn this on. Wow. That went quick. Turn that right up. All right, so this is battery 1. And we need to do one more. Okay. Okay. Wow, this stuff retains its heat a lot. All right, so I tinned up all the ends. We're ready to go ahead and install these as well. Okay, that's nice and firm. Okay, so now we have both batteries. We have the positive being switched. The inverter you want switched. So run it right off the bus with the switch. Oh, here's a black one. Oh yeah, so the black one just needs a little bit of tin right on the end. And we'll do a mini loop since it needs an eye anyway. All right, let's go ahead and tin both ends of this. So now we can go from here 2 of these. Wow, that's hot. Got a little booger on the bottom of it. Yep.
I'm using an 8mm wrench to connect the negative wire from the bus bar to the fuse box.
Okay, 8mm, negative, negative, check. All right, I'm back. I had some time to grab some lunch. Just taking a look at all of these things we've done so far. It looks like we still need to wire the switch for the fuse box. Let's take a look at that next. Looks like we'll be using those little ones. Now the little ones, you can't use the, I can crimp them, but I can't use that really thick wire. That's way too small. Let's see here, this wire is more like it. I have the crimpers for this one here. Perfect. Basically,
Looking at the wire gauge that I have here, it appears too thin. I can't use the large 12 gauge wire on the connectors for the existing switch. I'm going to switch back over to the inverter, pun intended.
I'm probably going to wire the inverter directly to the bus bar. a switch. I'll also need a piece of black wire to go from ground all the way to here. I'll tin both of these at the same time. All right, let's take a look at that. So this one's 10 millimeter. Okay, that one's done. All right, so all of those are hooked up. That's all good. So now we have to do the red wire. I'm going to run it to the switch. I'm going to manually crimp this and then solder it. All right, so I'm going to manually solder this where it's not so hot. All right. The smaller gauge wire I'll be able to actually crimp on there. I have the right tools for that. It's just these fitting these really small connectors on this really big wire. I don't have the crimpers for that. Just waiting on soldering iron to heat up. So I'm back, and I guess the camera had stopped recording probably because it's so hot out. So I have the inverter, the charge controller, the bus bars, the two switches, one for the inverter, one for the load, all the 12-volt circuitry. Let's see here if you can see that. Yeah, the fuse box right here. All the 12-volt circuitry will be fused. Yeah, and the propane tank will go right here in this area over here, but it should be insulated with some more wood eventually. Let's see here if I can show that. So I'm planning to add another wood covering over here and then put like a hole in that wood panel for the wires to pass through. These are the batteries. So my next project is going to be mounting the solar panels on the roof and hooking them up to the MPPT charge controller. So look for that video. I hope that you like, subscribe if you can, and share. It really helps grow the channel.